everyone, it's Hayes, and today's video we're going to do the analysis / commentary for episode 9 of Miraculous Ladybug season 6, Mister Agreste, featuring Statue Daddy. It was his debut and it was fabulous. Now, I'm about to go and spoil the entire episode for you, so please go and watch it now if you haven't already, and it's time to start. Literally feels ages since we've done this because it literally has been ages. Like, the last thing I have in here for notes is the ruler. I've almost finished this notepad. I've had this since before we even started making Miraculous videos. Yeah, the ruler. Ages ago. But anyway, please go and watch the episode. So, of course, we're going to start with quick thoughts. And upon my first watch, of course, I filmed a reaction. You'll see it Thursday, hopefully, if I can get edited in time. But I was like, immediately 10 out of 10. However, I always rewatch it in order to take notes. I don't take notes when I do my reaction. And it went down to a 9 out of 10. And that's because I didn't really feel like there was any plot advancement. However, I did think it was very good. And I do think there are a lot of feelings being talked about that I feel are definitely going to play into the season later on as it goes, particularly more so with Adrien and Marinette, with Marinette struggling lying and keeping the secret, and Adrien starting to question about his father. Because one thing that did confuse me, like back in Recreation, in the end scenes where Joe, it's the pool scene and Marinette and Adrien are talking, I felt Adrien was a little bit, I don't know, maybe because the ending of the season and the ending of like the proper first arc, although I feel like you could argue the first arc ended when Master Fu lost his memory, whatever. But the ending of the first arc, the end of season 5, they wanted it kind of slightly happy, so Adrien didn't go into any of the complex feelings he was about, like, yeah, okay, my dad's died, but my dad was also abusive, although to be fair to Adrien, whilst I think he recognises the way Gabriel treated him wasn't good, I don't think he quite recognises it as abuse. I'm not sure he knows. I'm not saying he's stupid, because he's absolutely not, but some people just don't know about emotional abuse. Like Thomas Estruck. However, the feelings explored in it was everything I've been wanting since Recreation, with all the trauma and the drama, which I know sounds really mean, okay? I've said this before. I would hope no one, no matter how much I like or dislike them, goes through that in their real life. However, this isn't real, this is fictional, and when it comes to fiction, I like it. Okay, that's what I look for, because otherwise it'd be so uncompelling if everyone's just really nice. You wouldn't want to watch or read something that everyone was lovely to each other. No, because that's boring, okay? Should your real life be like that? Yeah, absolutely. Should fiction? No. I want the drama. That's why I'm here. I'm not here for a good time. God. I also enjoyed all the confessions in the episode, and I am quite liking, just as a general note throughout the season, how we're getting shorter Akuma fights. I'm really liking that, because honestly, just as a general note about the show, I'm always here for the relationships and the feelings and the drama. The superhero stuff has always been, just for me personally, kind of secondary to me. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'm not that big for superheroes, which I know sounds silly when my favourite show is about superheroes, okay. But like, I think I've seen like only one Marvel movie, for example, from like the big MCU stuff, so yeah, that's how much I'm not into superheroes. So I do quite like, just for my personal taste, the Akuma fight being shorter and there being more focus on things going on before and after it. So now I'm going to go through it chronologically, and we're actually going to start talking with the animation, because we get to see not everyone. So we see Ladybug, Cat Noir, Adrien, Luca, Julika and Annika in obviously the new animation, but like the new animation style with the old models. And I really liked how they looked, and honestly seeing them, and then later on we get to see Marinette and Viperion as well, it really hammered home the problem I've been having this season. Because, okay, I know I'm not an animation expert, which is why I never talk about it, and after I finish talking about this I probably never mention it again. But part of the problem I've been having, particularly with Adrien and Marinette, is I'm not stupid, I can see it's them. I get that. However, I just feel that the new models are just missing something that makes them them. And now I have seen the new animation style but with the old Marinette, I'm like, okay, basically the new models for Adrien and Marinette give me major Uncanny Valley, and I really prefer how the older style models look with the new animation. I don't think I'm making myself clear, but basically when I saw Marinette for the first time, I was like, as in the old one when she sat with Luca giving him back his Miraculous, I was like, where have you been? You've missed a whole season. We've had your twin sister come in and do the rest for you. Like, it literally feels like a different person. I know it's Marinette, okay, I know it is, but I think that's possibly part of the problem I've been having. By and large, is the new animation, hello, so much better? Yes, it absolutely is. I'm not pretending it's not good. It's just some of the models giving me a bit of uncanny valley. But now I've seen the older models in the new animation style and kind of like, I miss you. Anyway, that's all I'll say of the animation. It's fine if you disagree with me. I don't care. That's fine. But then, okay, so Ladybug and Cat were having that conversation. Cat was like, I gotta find out what he knows, which I was, honestly, I was a bit confused of. I like the scene between the two of them, but like, I felt it was pretty clear in Migration that Luca told Adrien, was like, I know it's you. Like, there was that, like so Luca sends Marinette upstairs to transform when Bob starts attacking. And then Luca sends down in the hall everyone else into him and Julica's bedroom. And Luca's like, this is full. You need to go somewhere else. And he's like, and then at the end he's smiling at Marinette and Adrien like, yeah, I know. So I thought it was pretty clear that, you know, so maybe Adrien was just forgot, which he's prone to do. But then he just goes in the airport. And I was like, for the longest time, my reaction was like, where is the security at the airport? Like, I've been to Charles de Gaulle, like, they have loads of security, so I was like, where's the security? But then luckily they do arrive. But I was just a bit like, the whole scene, I was like, I liked it, but I was like, I feel like you already worked out, Adrien, that he knew who you were, so. Okay. Then the nightmare, so I was correct on a theory video. I thought the episode would open towards the start with the nightmare. I really liked it. I thought it set a great precedent for the episode, like going forward, Marinette mixing up all of her words and stuff. That was great. Gonna be interesting to see how they translate it, which, side note, I have no idea why Gloob did this. Why they didn't just wait for the dub, because I think the day they're airing their dub is gonna be like the 26th. It's still gonna be earlier than the other. It's still with the premiere. Just like your voice acting user. Okay, whatever. But then Adrien at breakfast, Matt's like, you've only eaten the cheese, and I'm like, well, actually Plag's eaten the cheese, so Adrien's had nothing. Okay. And then it goes to the peppercorn scene. I absolutely loved the scene with Adrien basically starting to question what was going on, like saying everyone views my dad as a hero, but I know he wasn't. What am I missing here? Like, everyone sees him as a hero, but I'm suffering. Loved it. And then he confronts Plag like, hey, you were there, what happened? He's like, I definitely do think Plag was lying. I have always assumed that the Kwamis do remember, they do see what goes on when they've been transformed with. Is it perhaps different if they're in their giant forms? I don't know. Is it even more different if, for example, Cheeky and Plag get combined to make Gimi? Also don't know. Unsure. But I did assume like that Plag would be able to know, so he might have not have known everything, but it seemed like Marinette was pretty open with Natalie at the end after she had detransformed, so he would have heard anyway, and he was there for the majority of the fight, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So I'm assuming Plag is also lying, but I'm really glad that Adrien started to question that Ladybug isn't telling him the full truth, that something more is going on with how diametrically opposed he views his father to the rest of Paris. I really enjoyed it. However, since Plag is lying and when Adrien finds out the truth, he's gonna really hate Plag as well, so is he also gonna give up his Miraculous then? Maybe? Yikes. So then we go to Town Hall, and I'm really glad actually for this meeting that they started off with clearing up what happened to the old statue, because like all my videos I've been like, where is it? The one at the end of recreation made out of the rings, what's happened to it? So it got vandalised, and I'm like, who vandalised it? So first of all, I'm like, did Marinette do it? Because Gabriel's been manipulating her, and this statue is like right outside her house. Every time she go on the balcony, she'll be able to see this thing. And we also know, so I'm wondering, we also know from the illustrator that chronologically the first person to get akumatized this season is Miss Bustier, and we haven't actually seen it yet, and of course Miss Bustier is the mayor. So I'm wondering whether someone vandalising it, whether or not it was Marinette, because I don't know, whether someone vandalising it was her catalyst for getting akumatized, You know what I mean? Because like she doesn't have a political background. She's gone from a teacher to a politician, which absolutely can happen. You don't have to be a career politician in order to become the mayor. You can go from any job, but usually politicians tend to be career politicians. So I could understand people maybe being a little bit hard on her at first because she doesn't have any other political experience. So whilst it's obviously not very nice, I would understand if people were a bit unsure. And one of her first things like that she spearheaded when she became mayor at the end of season 5 was the statue, and then it gets vandalised. So could that possibly be the cause of her Akuma? So we'll see maybe the original silver statue again, and at the end of the episode they decide to take it down. I don't know, but which one that could be, I don't know. Why we haven't seen it yet, I don't know. I bet we're not gonna see it. I bet it's not even an episode. We just know she was akumatized first. At some point. But who knows? But oh my god though, this statue, 10 meters high! Look, I feel for statues of people, they should be either about the same size or slightly bigger. Like an absolute must. Like a 2 scale. Scale 2? Times 2 scale? Double the size of their... Can you tell I know nothing about statue making? But yeah, 10 meters. Absolute insanity, no. But I really enjoyed the scene with Adrian speaking out and being like, my dad was this, my dad made pancakes, my dad also did this as well. He tried to stop me and Marinette from a relationship. Why would I want this statue of him? So I really liked how he was speaking out about the abuse he went through. I do kind of wish as well Adrian was more overtly saying what he went through, but again, I'm not actually sure Adrian is aware that that happened. But then, oh my god, Natalie. So, when we got that screenshot of her ages ago, of her on the stairs looking to the side really suspiciously, kind of slightly angry, disappointed, whatever was going on, I was like, oh, she's seen or heard something that's made her feel like that, which I was correct, she had, but I assumed it was nothing to do with Adrian or Marinette. But then first of all, in the office, the look Natalie gives Marinette, and then on the stairs at Marinette, oh my god. And then of course we go to the Marinette and Natalie scene, and again, I understand where Natalie's coming from, that, you know, Adrian would even more hurt, he would also realise I was his accomplice, and you know, I'm not really sure what would be the legal ramifications there, because I do feel like he's going to find out, and he'll work out when he does, that Natalie was Mayura. But like, I don't know, I just felt, maybe it's because of the way I view Natalie, and I know she's not a good person, she's done some bad things, but I did feel that she cared about Marinette and Adrian. And especially after the way she was in the London special with Marinette. I do despise the London special, but I do enjoy the Marinette and Natalie scenes in the London special. I definitely felt she would have been a lot more sympathetic. But honestly, she was in this scene like almost full on shouting at Marinette in the front garden, in the driveway. So I was a bit like, okay. Like I understood where she was coming from for the plot, for the drama, but I was a bit like, Natalie, that's a bit mean. Okay, she is a child, you're an adult. She's been manipulated, and I guess you could say Natalie's been manipulated too, but I feel like Natalie is strong enough and she's old enough to be like, yeah, you might have asked me to do that, Gabriel, but you're dead, so I'm gonna do this other thing instead. You know, whereas Marinette is still a child. So, yeah, but honestly, after the way she was in the London special with Marinette, I would have expected her to have a bit more sympathy with her, but apparently not. And then we get Marinette and Luca's scene on FaceTime with Irupe? Or is it Irupe? I haven't seen the episode twice, I've already forgotten how to say her name. She looks great, she looks lovely, can't wait to see more of her. We're going to come back to her though when we get to the end of the episode, but she's like, I want to go for a swim, and then she comes back like 2 seconds later when the video call's over. I'm like, do you just put your toes in? Go for a swim? The quickest swim ever. But honestly, right, first of all, Marinette's a bit obsessive, and it's slightly weird that she knows it's an hour and 14 minutes for her to fly there, which honestly I think is very, very fast, considering she's come all the way from Paris, but okay. But also, I'm a little bit confused on the fake pretend girlfriend front. Don't get me wrong, I like Irupe, nothing against her. It's more of the having to lie about it. I can understand it in one vein, Luca wanting to say that to Marinette because as we find out he's still in love with her, so wanting her to not worry that he still has feelings about her because like, hey, I've got a girlfriend now. But also at the same time, I don't feel in season 5 that Luca ever came across as struggling with it. Obviously we didn't see a great deal of Luca in season 5 because he was not a central character and he left halfway through. But it didn't seem to be a concern of Marinette that Luca could still be in love with her. It was in season 4, and I understood it in season 4. Like, she breaks up with him in truth, and then she doesn't see him again until Crocodile, which is when it's Luca and Julica's birthday. And like, a big part of the plot in that episode is, oh, I don't want to ruin their birthday because I turn up and I don't want to upset Luke if he's still in love with me, but he knows I still love Adrian and all this and that and whatever. So I can understand her worrying about it in season 4, but a whole season has passed. It's been 2 or 3 months now. She seems to have gotten over that in season 5. That's not to say Luca can't have been hurt anymore and they can't have been in love with her. Absolutely, of course he could be, and it seems like he was still in love with her and also still hurt after what had happened, which is fine, he's allowed to be. But since Marinette had stopped worrying about it, and I think Luca is aware she stopped worrying about it, why didn't the excuse he just give her would be, I just really like Brazil, I really enjoy it there or something. Or, you know, Jagged and Penny don't want to come back, which, by the way, where are they? Who knows? They went at the flight. I don't know if they were on board and they were going to meet Luca there, I don't know. But I was just like, why don't you just say that to her? Don't get me wrong, I like Irupe, but Irupe, I already don't know how to say it. Why don't you just tell her you just like Brazil and you just preferred it to Paris, you just fancy going somewhere else for a bit? You know? We didn't have to do that. But anyway, speaking of that scene, I really, really enjoyed the flashback scene where Luca confesses what's going on. But yeah, I don't know why he doesn't just say, I just really like Brazil and I prefer it here. Anyway, Marinette actually then properly arrives in Brazil, and oh my god, that outfit for the Snake Miraculous. Of course we have to do a whole video on it. We will be doing a style analysis on the outfit. Oh my gosh. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. I'm not sure we can analyse the whole outfit, so I don't think we at any point see like a full body shot. I think we see the most from like about the thighs upwards. I don't think we ever get to see the rest of her legs, but oh my god. Loved it. I hope someone like one of the 3D modelers or Thomas or Jeremy or someone else on the team releases the full model for it, because oh my god, she was stunning. Loved it with the eyes. Yeah. I know it wasn't turquoise, but I think the turquoise would have majorly clashed with the red, so I'm glad they went for like that. It wasn't quite pink, it wasn't quite purple, it was like right in the middle. Really, really enjoyed it. And then her confession about Monarch, I started to panic, and then Luke was starting to panic. But then, of course, Lucas says something interesting. So he's like, I need you to give me your earrings. I'm the only one who can save the situation. I know things you don't. Now, I'm assuming that I know things you don't is I know Adrian is Cat Noir, which Marinette does not know. That is correct. However, I was talking to someone on Twitter before I sat down to film, and they were wondering if Luca perhaps learned something in the Brazil special. I don't know. That's assuming 1, Luca is in the Brazil special, and 2, that's also assuming the special is set like between season 5 and season 6, or at the start of season 6. I don't believe we know chronologically in terms of the Miraculous timeline when it will be set, and I've also forgotten what date it's supposed to be coming out as well. Who knows anymore? It'll probably get pushed back anyway, so I don't think it really matters. So perhaps it's just about Adrian and Cat Noir, perhaps it's more, but I genuinely have zero idea how him, first of all, having the earrings would help, and second of all, how he can be the only one to save this. A little bit confused there, and I would absolutely love to know your ideas on this, because I want to do a video on it, but I'm like, I don't know. No idea. But I absolutely love that scene, and at the end he confessed he was still in love with her, but then Marinette did the second chance, so he doesn't know that she knows. Oh, it was great. I don't want them to get back together. I do really like Luca, but I'm like, Marinette's just so in love with Adrian that I just don't think it would ever work. If Adrian didn't exist, then yeah, absolutely, but he does exist. The same way if Marinette doesn't exist, I would have go for Luca and Adrian, but Marinette does exist, so it's not gonna happen. So then we get on to the Akuma, and like I said at the top of the video, I'm really enjoying how the Akuma fights are much smaller, really enjoying that, and I think it was really, really great. It helps it be more succinct instead of dragged out. Thought it was great. I loved how traumatic it was overall, which was an added level to it as well, because one thing I was hoping for, for more drama and trauma, was that the statue would have Gabriel Agreste's voice. So in Copycat, when Theo is akumatized, when he's just talking to Cat Noir, he's using Theo's voice, but when he's talking to Ladybug and other people in the public, he uses Cat Noir's voice. So I was really hoping that he would have Gabriel's voice, and he did, which obviously adds another level to it, which was great. I really enjoyed how after he cataclysmed his arm, which first of all goes back to destruction because he also cataclysmed his arm, I think. But then he also apologises as well because, like, this is my instinct, first of all, as Cat Noir, but then to protect myself because it was going straight for him. But then he apologises because that's his dad. Or not his dad, but he thinks it's his dad. But then, honestly, the whole fight was a little bit creepy because, first of all, it's a dead man. Second of all, he was like taking pieces of himself to throw, like he was using his own clay, which was really freaky to see. And then when they were going with Miraculous, at first I was going to be like, oh, it's not going to work because your finger's going to be too big to grab such a tiny piece of jewellery, right? But then, so Statue Daddy's hand gets close, but then Theo's hand comes, oh, it made me feel sick. Like, I was totally fine, like, in recreation, watching Gabriel slightly crumble as he fought with Bug Noir, and, like, at one point, like, one of his, like, the tip of his finger just completely crumbles away. I was like, yes, loved it. But, oh, I don't know what it was about it, but it just made me feel a little bit ill. I didn't throw up, but I was just a bit like, take it away, Statue Daddy, stop. Then I love the stuff like saying where he was like, you're no one's father, obviously because he's a statue, but also another level because after everything Adrian said in this episode, he doesn't really view him as that paternal figure anymore, which I really, really enjoyed. And I also quite liked the fact that Adrian was defeated at first in this fight, because whilst I have every faith in Cat Noir that he absolutely could win, this fight is not like the other fights. It was a lot more personal, a lot more traumatic for him, so I did kind of like that he lost, which kind of sounds mean, but I'm like, I felt like it made sense. But then Ladybug comes back and she's also panicking as she's fighting because they both have trauma with this man. But then I liked how Adrian comes in and saves the day. And I don't know if this was the intention, but then he grabs the megaphone and he starts telling Statue Daddy all the things he basically wished he'd told Gabriel, like, why were you always travelling when Mum was ill? Why wasn't I allowed to go to school? Why wasn't I allowed friends? Why couldn't I be with Marinette? Like everything Gabriel had did to him over the course of his life. Absolutely loved it. Then as he's doing it, Gabriel, well, Statue Daddy starts to like crumble and stuff like that. And again, not sure if this was the intention, but to me I felt like that was showing us the effects, like literally the effects emotional abuse can have on someone. Because Adrian was being quite mean, but like he needed to say it, and also, you know, it wasn't his actual dad, it was a statue. So I'm not really sure we could classify it as emotional abuse, but I thought it was really interesting they had like a visual representation of how emotional abuse hurts someone. Particularly even more interesting since Thomas Astruc doesn't even see that's how they've written Chloe as experiencing that from her parents, which just always will baffle me until the end of time, to be honest. And then I love the bit at the end, like, you went from Peppercorn to being this cold, heartless statue. Amazing. Then we ended with a bit of self-decapitation, which is really quite remarkable because I'm not really sure you can do that to yourself. Then we end with a hug, which I think was absolutely necessary. So after the Akuma fight, we have the parallel scenes where Adrian is like, I'm just gonna have to live with these unanswered questions, and I was like, I hope not. Like, it's gonna be unanswered for now, but hopefully by the end of the season you will have some answers, perhaps not all of them. I don't know if we're going to get a full reveal by the end of the season, but perhaps eventually you'll know some more information. I would really, really like that. And then of course we have Marinette feeling guilty as well. I just feel like it's going to eat away at both of them and get progressively worse and worse and worse until neither of them can hold it in anymore. Whether that's Cat Noir confronting Ladybug or Marinette finally telling Adrian, one of them's got to happen. I'm just not sure which one first. I feel like though it's going to be more Cat Noir confronting Ladybug, because I feel like Marinette will try to hold this in as long as possible no matter how much it hurts her, but I feel like Adrian's going to be more desperate for the truth. But I definitely could be wrong. Then of course we have the ending scene with Irupe and her bird, Kwame, called Manali. I'm just saying it how, well, at least I think I'm saying it how they said it in the episode. I should probably go back and rewatch it already. So I am super, super interested to see where this is going. Obviously she's a Miraculous holder. I'm assuming the Miraculous was a big chunky necklace she was wearing, but perhaps it wasn't. Also, does anyone know what kind of bird it was? It does look a little bit like a hummingbird to me with the wings and how Manali was moving, but I totally could be wrong. Like, is it a bird native to Brazil? I don't know anything about Brazilian wildlife. If anyone could help me, that would be wonderful because I have no idea. But it is super, super intriguing. I'm assuming that means she's the main character of the Brazil special, but who knows? I thought it was Lady Butterfly, but who knows? I don't know. And then of course she ends with, oh, Luca likes to keep a lot of secrets. He does, you are correct. So I hope this builds to more and more and more. Which is overall basically what I kind of thought the episode was. There wasn't really a great deal of plot progression. It was more of feelings progression that is hopefully going to build into the plot later on, which is why it's a 9 out of 10, because I did think it was a pretty solid episode. But like I said, there wasn't really much plot progression as the overall season, but I feel like it's a bit of a setup episode for perhaps something that's going to happen later on with all the secrets and the confessions, which is obviously a theme of this season. So overall, 9 out of 10 for those reasons. And the MVP of the episode, of course, has to be Adrian, with a special mention for Statue Daddy for his creepy arms, and also Irupe and Manoli, because even though they only had like 2 scenes, well, Manoli only had 1 right at the end, I am very, very intrigued and I can't wait to see more of them. So anyway, besties, of course, that is what I think about the episode, and I would love to know what you think. If you're going to leave me a long essay in the comments, that's great. I can't wait to read it. But I do have bad eyesight, hence the glasses. So if you could just break it up for me into some paragraphs, that would be a major help. I don't care if the paragraphs make sense, just hit enter every few lines. That will greatly appreciate. Like, I'm not going to give you a mark out of 10 for how well your essay writing was. Okay, I don't care about that. It's just for ease of my reading, basically. So yeah, it's been ages, I feel, since I've had to reply to really long comments, because we haven't had an episode in months. When did The Ruler air? I know we did the Ruler screaming session for Pride Month, so it's been quite a while. I feel like I was sat down and I was like, how do I start these videos? Completely forgot. Anyway, I'd love to know what you all think of the episode, particularly your thoughts on Irupe and Manoli, and also what Luca was talking about with the earrings, because I'm going to think about it more, but honestly I genuinely have no idea what his plan could have been. So yeah. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!